Hey everyone, it's Elise, and this is going to be the patch 8.19 notes rundown. This is, I believe, the Worlds patch. Okay, the second round of the changes focus on the World Championship, which starts next week. Okay, so we're just going to get into it. I don't expect many changes, or, well, I don't expect an introduction of any new champions or something that would introduce meta changes or anything like that. So let's go. Darius, W base damage increased, E armor penetration increased. W crippling strike gets 10% total attack damage even at rank 1. That's actually quite sizable. This scales up quite nice during early laning phase. This actually adds a considerable amount of damage. The issue is that how much does it really play into some of Darius's kills? And I don't think that it plays into too many in the laning phase. Like, it plays into maybe the first combo that he can hit, and maybe helping add some lethal to minions, right? So it helps accelerate his laning. The reality is, though, is that if Darius gets a hold of you at level 6 or level 7, which is when laning phase is beginning to potentially transition into the mid-game phase, when you begin to tether on that level 8 mark, that's when it doesn't really matter, because if Darius hits you with Crippling Strike, the slow, the Q, everything else is going to already likely overkill you, and the extra damage that you're getting from this buff is not going to really be applicable. So in that regard, it's not that big, but pre-level 6, I think it's quite big. Obviously, at a level 6 kill, I guess it can be big, and then also helping with CSing. That's nice. E-Apprehend, passive armor penetration, 10 to 30% scaling to 15 to 35% scaling. This is quite big. This is massive for mid-game, most importantly. And also in the early parts of the laning phase, it does give him a little bit of penetration that he's going to be missing. Now, we also have to remember what was Darius's... Actually, I don't remember what Darius's tree was prior to all the nerfs that came into some of the damage runes, but... depending on what runes he was taking, you have to look at it as if he's not getting that much damage back. But with the added benefit of the crippling strike damage, I mean, you can look at it as canceling each other out. Fiora, healing from passive procs increase. Passive duelist's dance 25 to 110 to 35 to 110 scaling. Q lunge. Lunge will once again correctly prioritize champions and vital procs over killable minions. That's actually quite a big bug fix, but it doesn't really matter for really, really good pure players, I assume. The vital healing going up by 10. If she ends up proccing like even 5 vitals in lane, this is massive because it's super obnoxious for her sustain. So I think that this is actually a larger buff than people are going to perceive it as. She can even probably end up getting a potion in lane for free, depending on what type of a champion is she up against and what kind of sustain they have, and how often is she able to proc her passive against them. So in that regard, I think that this change is actually massive for her early laning phase, and I don't know why Riot would give Fiora early laning phase strength when her late game is still easily one of the best in the game. So with the two changes to Darius and Fiora, it does look like we're lining up for anti-tank champions to come out at Worlds, and then obviously these are exciting champions for Worlds, so maybe we'll end up seeing them on the Rift there. Khazix, doesn't really matter what they give him, he's not going to get picked. Passive Unseen Threat, bonus attack damage ratio 0.2 to 0.4, W Void Spike and Evolve Non-Isolated Slow 40% to 60%, Evolve Isolated Slow 80% to 90%. That's great, it's an absolute joke. He won't get picked because his problem came from when you took away his brush mechanics, and even then he was already a bad champion that just took advantage of bad players. Elise, W and E cooldown decreased in spider form. Still no restore to her movement speed that was completely taken away from her, and then tried to be compensated by giving her a laughable little boost to her base MF, but still the change from Runic Echoes is not there. W Skittering Frenzy, 12 seconds to 10 seconds, not what's holding her back. E Repel cooldown, 26 seconds to 18 seconds scaling to 22 to 18, nice placebos. Darvin, passive cooldown decrease. Passive Martial Cadence, per target cooldown 10 to 6 at levels 1, 7, 13 to 6 at all levels. I don't magically think that this will make Darvin get picked at Worlds, especially because there's so many champions in the meta that are anti-him. I guess he could be picked in situations where junglers get pinched considerably, and if you have like AP top and AP mid, maybe you can end up having Darvin. So Let's see here. Nunu and Willump, AP scaling on Qs, heal increase, AP ratio increase. So, unfortunately, because I haven't been playing the game that much, in particular to Nunu, I haven't seen him a lot. I don't know what's going on. I genuinely don't know what's going on with him after people got past the entry level. And what I mean by that is I don't know what he looks like when you have 50 games on him. I don't know what he looks like when a pro gamer has 50 games on him. I'm not really sure exactly where Nunu is, and so I'm actually very hesitant to comment on this. But looking at the number changes and the fact that it's all AP-centric and whatnot, I can't imagine that that's a very good sign, especially because these are such low AP ratio boosts, and I can't imagine that Nunu from the jungle is going to be able to actually muster up that much AP. So I don't assume that it's going to change how he actually fights, just going off my memory from how Nunu coordinates inside of like 2v2s and 3v3s and then late game team fights. So I don't think that this is a big change, just going off my memory. But again, I haven't seen him piloted by someone that has a lot of experience on him, so I have to reserve my comment there. Janna, passive movement speed to damage conversion increased 15 to 35% at levels 1, 7, 13 to 25 and 35% at 110. I think this is the first time Riot has ever done a 2-level thing, which I find really interesting. So she's getting her level 7 stuff now at level 1. I don't think this magically makes Janna some great holy pick. If Janna's going to be picked, it's going to be picked by a team that wants to pick her, or a situation where she is objectively just likely going to be the best support champion that can be picked in that spot. So that's going to be very thin. These changes don't propel her into the limelight. Thresh. Q mana crossed and early cooldown decreased. Q death sentence 80 to 60. This is another situation that it's not really a problem. Now that's really nice. I will say that's something that you can feel. I will tell you that. That's actually quite big. 4 seconds taken off at rank 1. Obviously, he still has the same amount at rank 5, but with the 4 seconds being taken off at rank 1, that you can feel that as Thresh, and then I guess in even the mid game you can feel that as Thresh. So that's quite good for Thresh. We'll have to see what else happens to other supports, because we're just getting to supports, it seems. Janna and Thresh. Pyke, early ult damage increased our death from below, 200 to 605 scaling to 250 to 605 scaling. 50 damage on an ult from Pyke is actually quite large. So out of all I actually think Pyke's change is larger impact than Janna or Thresh's. How often will we see Pyke at Worlds? Probably I don't want to think. I don't think that he's going to be a premier support champion. I actually think that Pyke needs more buffs. I've been very vocal about this for a while. I understand that he can be a solo Q terror, but I think that he needs changes to his, not to his kit, like in terms of what his skills do, but I think that his numbers need to be tuned around his kit in order to make him less volatile and snowbally in solo queue, and then more rewarding and competitive. But I do actually think this buff is massive, and it's really good for him. Tom Kench, base HP down, HP per level up. I actually think this is one of the things that I had. I'm gonna try to find my tweet. Hold on. I'm gonna try to find it. You're gonna hear me type really quick. Let's see. Is it this? Yes! Alright, here we go, here we go. It would be interesting. Lower his HP, then give him more HP per level. That's what I'm talking about. I finally get my... We made it. Alright, base HP down, HP per level up. Base stat 610 to 540. Health growth 95 to 102. So, anyways, devour allies. Tom Kench has devoured, no longer sometimes be targetable when first swallowed. So I actually think this is balanced. I think Tom is quite gross in the early stages. I think that his stats are overtuned at early stages. You can also definitely feel this if you play him top lane, you can be a considerably worse player than your opponent in, you know, levels 1 through 5, and you can still beat them. I like that they took away some of his HP early on. I still don't like the Devourer change. I think that there should have been some sort of a compromise there. I like this change a lot. I don't like that other stuff wasn't touched in addition to this. So whatever. Ultimately, it's fine. Kog'Maw, base movement speed increased, R range increased. So he actually gets 5 MS, and then R range goes up by 100, which is quite noticeable. 50 at rank 2, and then it's the same at rank 3. But obviously at rank 1, that's probably where you're going to feel it, because you try to coordinate dives and you try to make plays happen underneath the opponent's turret, where you end up getting zoned off by the turret, so every little bit of range counts. In the mid-game, having the extra 50 range is nice, especially when you're contesting dragons or maybe even a herald, or you're doing some sort of a siege in mid-game, and then having it be 1800 for the final stages, levels, you know, 16, 17, 18, with Baron pushes, I think is completely balanced. Kog'Maw is a champion that, much like Varus and Kaisa, I've been vocal about for a very long time. You can probably find me talk about him in quite a few patch notes and stuff, that he's forgotten about. His build path is really good. He's very good against the meta. He's very safe, and I think we will probably see some... I expect to see someone pick up Kog'Maw, because right now Kaisa and Varus are the top 2, and the step below down from Varus, that is basically a clone or a ditto, is Kog'Maw. So in instances where you can't get a hold of Varus, you can't get a hold of Kaisa or something, Kog'Maw, I think, can situationally become the next pick. Items, liandrys torment, passive max HP burn, increased AP decrease. So the ability power going down by 5 is virtually negligible. When you consider that the max HP per second, 1.5 to 5%, max HP per second, 2.5% max HP per second. These dots are massive. This is a really big buff to champions that can utilize liandrys torment well. And so obviously a champion that initially comes to mind when I think of utilizing liandrys torment well is going to be Malzahar. Another champion that will utilize it very well is going to be Brand. Brand's support. I don't think that we're actually going to see like a Brand mid or anything like that. Zyra is another champion that can use this very well. Rumble is another champion that can use this well. Another champ would be Annie. I don't think that we're going to see Annie at Worlds, to be completely honest, but liandrys torment is an item that does utilize this very well. Rumble, we already talked about that. Teemo, but I don't think that we're going to see Teemo at World or anything. Champion Visual, Visual? Is that what this is? Darvin, Lee Sin, Vigar, Vi, Samsung Galaxy. Movement speed slow, objective steal announcement, profile page, okay, normal draft, matchmaking, upcoming skins, and chroma. The Championship Khazix skin is easily one of the best skins of all time. I just have to throw that out there. It's easily one of the best skins of all time. So, I don't know what that is. What is this? Celebrating League of Legends participation in the Continental Multi-Sport event in which China secured first place. Okay, you know what? I get it. So, recapping some of the stuff. Darius and Fiora will likely get picked at Worlds. Khazix is a joke, as is Elise. Darvin will maybe situationally be picked at Worlds. Nunu and Willem, I don't know enough to comment. Janna, very, very situationally. Don't expect to really see her. Thresh buff is massive. Pike buff is a little bit bigger. Tom Kench buff is balanced. Kog'Maw, it makes sense. It further supports Kog'Maw likely being picked at Worlds sometimes. liandrys torment buff is actually massive, especially considering Malzahar could be a very real pick come Worlds, as he is a pretty good answer to some of the meta picks right now. And liandrys torment getting the buff is really, really good for him. And then everything else, I guess, doesn't really matter. So the Worlds meta that you saw if you were watching the gauntlets and stuff, that's basically what we're looking at, which I really do hope that means that NA and EU gets their shit together, because that was... I watched all of it. And we hope that scrims and stuff in Korea and the boot camps have been going well. And I think that's it for patch 8.19. So I will see you guys for 8.20, where hopefully we finally get a lot of big changes.